TAGNBRAG Nation and Goose Chasers, what is up? Welcome back to another episode, the 66th episode of Goose Chasing. And this week's episode is brought to you by REK Boots. Rocky has been a trusted and a wonderful partner of ours for 8 years now. Pretty hard to believe 8 years ago that they put their trust in us as a couple of Northeast Ohio boys that grew up hunting in Western New York, but they did, and we've had a great long-standing relationship. They've helped us a ton along the way. Their Venator camo has kept us hidden from those big old New York bucks that we are consistently chasing, and their boots are second to none. So if you go to their website, www.rockyboots.com, you can use our code TAGNBRAG25 for 25% off anything on the site. That's pretty crazy. 25% off anything on the site. Rack up your order, suit yourself up with a full suit, boots, hat, gloves, undergarments, the whole 9 yards. You can get it on rockyboots.com. 25% off TAGNBRAG25 at checkout. This week's episode is also brought to you by TAGNBRAG Apparel. Go to tagnbrag.co for all of our latest apparel. You can see I got the blue TAGNBRAG swag on right now, but we also have the great Make Hunt Camps Great Again line. We've got t-shirts, multiple different kinds of t-shirts, colors, hoodies, hats, the whole 9 yards, and we're going to be having some new apparel coming out with that line, and also a new line of apparel that is coming out here soon. So we're excited about that. tagnbrag.co. Go check out some of our apparel. We would love your support. Anyway, let's get into it. I've got a list of stuff here that I kind of wanted to talk about. Season is just around the corner. And by just around the corner, I mean that if you are listening to this episode, we have 2 more sleeps until we are in a tree. Yes, I said that. At most, 2 more sleeps until we are in a tree stand. That is insane. That's hard to believe. That's very exciting. That's also a little unnerving and a little nerve-wracking, to be completely honest. But it's where we're at. Tennessee velvet season opens up this Friday. And the velvet season is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's a 3-day season. And then Tennessee goes out for about a month and opens back up at the end of September. But they opened up the Tennessee velvet season a couple years ago. Pretty awesome opportunity to actually hunt and get a chance at a velvet buck. Last year, we didn't get a chance to hunt this velvet hunt because why? Well, our boy Dino was getting married during the velvet hunt. So we didn't get to take advantage of it, but this year we are making up for it and then some. Uncle Jay and I have a couple sets hung. We are committed to hunting with each other this weekend, which is going to be pretty cool. I'm actually really looking forward to that. You guys know us as primarily self-filmers and run and gunners, if you will. We like to be efficient with our time. We also like to hunt and shoot shit. So we all of us in the group like to be the ones behind the weapon. But sometimes you got to take a little bit of a back seat. You got to be willing to take one for the team. And quite honestly, it's how we started. Dino and I filmed each other for many, many years. We pretty much gave up half of our season committed to filming with one another in order to start TAGNBRAG and start our YouTube channel, start creating content, and get our name out there. And honestly, some of my most favorite hunts have been when we have been together, whether I've been with Dean, my dad, Uncle Jay, in a tree filming. I know one right off the top of my head, and honestly, a lot of them that I'm thinking of aren't even like successful hunts. They're just hunts that we had crazy shit happen. I remember, and this was many moons ago, but I'm filming with my dad. Last day of bow season, I think it was November 15th up in New York. Last day of bow season. There's a small, tracing of snow on the ground, maybe a couple inches at most, which for up there in New York is a very small amount of snow. We can get snow squalls that will dump feet of snow overnight. So the couple inches of snow was actually perfect for visibility. It was cold enough for the middle of the rut. And we had this 13 point on our property. And I think he was a younger deer, maybe a 3-year-old or so, which honestly at that point didn't really matter to us. But he was a 13 point, and we called him triple grip because his one G3 or G2, one of the two, had 3 points coming off of it. So back then we weren't as original with the naming of bucks as we are now, because triple grip kind of sucks, to be completely honest with you. But nonetheless, we had been getting trail camera pictures of this deer. We were waiting to get an encounter or actually see him, and hadn't all season. Well, my dad and I go into one of his favorite spots that he's killed a lot of deer out of. He's hunting, I'm filming, but we both have our bows. Most of the time, if we're going tandem, we got 2 bows in the tree regardless. Because you know what? You just never know. And you know what? You're never going to pull off a double if you're not prepared for the double. So you got to be prepared first and foremost. And that's why this weekend with Uncle Jay, we're both going to have our bows with us. But anyway, moving on to the triple grip story. So we get in, it's freezing. Like, snow's on the ground. It was so cold that morning. I remember it was freezing. And I think that we had actually had plans to sit all or most of the day. Sangies packed, the whole 9 yards. Well, we're kind of overlooking this thicket. We're in this little strip of hardwoods right on the top of this ridge, overlooking this thicket. And right on the edge of the thicket is a bunch of apple trees. So it's just a kind of a conjugation point for the does a lot. And that time of year, it's perfect because more than likely, if you got a buck that's coming off one of his does or whatever, and he just starts roaming, that's one of the places that he's likely going to end up checking out because of how much doe activity is always right there. It's close to the bed. There's food. It's kind of got everything you need for a rut recipe of carnage. So anyway, we're sitting there, kind of catch some movement in the thicket, and I throw my binoculars up, and I could just see 2 deer, just flashes of 2 deer going back and forth in the thicket. And I'm like, man, now I'm catching flashes of REK, and I'm like, that REK looks pretty damn decent. And all of a sudden, this doe flies out of the thicket. Next thing I know, the buck comes out, and who is it? It's triple grip. They're probably like 60 yards away from us, and they're through the hardwoods on the edge of the thicket at this point. We literally watched this buck. First time I had ever seen this happen in the wild. We watched this buck breed this doe 2 different times. And I think, honestly, it was my dad's first time watching that all go down as well. And we were kind of freaking out just watching all that go down. Well, after they got done breeding, they kind of came out of the thicket. They came into the hardwoods. She started munching on apples. He was just kind of like, I don't know what to do. I need a sandwich. That was some, good stuff we had going on in that bedding area. You know what I mean? He was kind of like scratching his ass like, my work is done here, but now I need to eat something. But he wasn't leaving her side. Like, he was not leaving her. So every step she made, he was kind of trailing 20 yards behind her. Well, she comes into the hardwoods probably at like 30 yards from us and then starts kind of perpendicular walking up the hill. And she's going to walk out in front of us at 25 yards, dead broadside. So we're sitting there. I'm filming, this whole thing. And we thought that he was going to follow right in her footsteps, but he's kind of mirroring her like 20 yards behind her. So she's going to come out at like 25. He's coming out at like 40 to 45. And all of this happens. Well, all of this is kind of happening. My dad kind of looks up at me and he's like, if he hits that lane at 40, 45 yards, you're taking the shot. You know, my dad's, he's 62 now. I mean, he had to be in his mid-50s at this point. This was for sure 7 years ago, 8 years ago maybe. Probably when we first started with Rocky, to be honest. He's like, if it, you know, but still at that point, you know, he's shooting 30, 35 yards, especially in a hunting scenario comfortably, and that's what he's comfortable with. So this deer's coming out at 40, 45, and he looks at me, he's like, if he doesn't come any closer, like, you're taking the shot. So I get in there, I get my bow, I get my bow, I get everything ready to roll, and all of this is happening what it feels like it's taking an eternity. I mean, they're taking like one step at a time. And I don't know if at that point, like, maybe the doe sensed us a little bit and she just didn't know what was going on, but she steps into the lane, he steps into the lane. I'm talking wide open lane out to 60 yards, or so I thought. I'm sitting a couple feet above my dad, obviously in the cameraman stand. I got the camera on him. He stopped. Wide open lane. I pull back. I put my 40-yard pin just a little high, like midway up the body, and I'm like, there it is. Let it rip, and I sent that arrow, and literally halfway between me and the deer, that arrow stuck a limb that was hanging out and over the lane, parallel to the ground, like dead on the spot, stuck this thing. Literally 10-ring this limb, and him and the doe, it was so loud. The pop was so loud, and the woods was just silent that morning, that him and the doe literally didn't even flinch. They hightailed it out of there faster than I've ever seen any two deer run in my life, and it was over, and it was shocking. And I will never forget my dad's face when he turned around and looked at me, and he was like, what the hell was that? And I'm like looking at myself going, what the hell was that? Like, 40-yard pin. He was wide open. The limb wasn't even a factor in anything that I was doing. Well, the trajectory of an arrow is something that I learned the hard way that day. Not that I didn't know about the trajectory of an arrow, but so basically what I did was I knocked another arrow. My dad and I were completely lost, completely, like, you know, we kind of started giggling it off after a little while, but I'm still just dumbfounded. I mean, you're setting up for a shot. You see it all happening. It's all literally happening. It felt like what was slow motion. And then all of a sudden, everything's perfect, made to order. You shoot. The arrow doesn't even get there, doesn't even get a chance to hit him. And it gets stopped by a branch, and the whole scenario is over. It was an epic hunt. Watched him breed the doe 2 different times. We were both hyperventilating with, like, excitement because we had never seen something like that before. And then watched him and her literally make their way in 45 yards, perfect broadside shot. No. Lim says no. Absolutely not. I'm Shaquille O'Neal, and you ain't getting that bucket. You're getting denied. Meanwhile, the day before, Dad and I were clearing a couple lanes in this spot, and my dad, so what it wasn't a limb that came out. It was actually a tree that was growing up, and then it just bent. It just curved, like, to where it was then paralleling the ground. And man, I was so, like, beside myself, like, what happened? It felt like a good release. I felt good about the shot. So after a while, I get on there, you know, I'm in my head. I'm trying to figure this out. I pull back my bow, and I go to kind of mimic the shot once again, and I put my 40-yard pin right where he was at, and I'm like, that is a wide open shot. And then I look up, and my 20-yard pin is literally covering the knock that is still stuck in the tree from my first shot. So in the heat of the moment, I came down on the deer, 40-yard pin all clear, no branches in the way, not even thinking about the trajectory of that arrow. But if I would have just peeked up to my 20-yard pin, I'd have been like, that ain't going to work. Got to duck down a little bit. But, that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. So I guess my whole point is, like, that hunt is so memorable and it sticks in my head. And for a while, when we first started Tag and Brag, like, that was one of the more memorable hunts that we had, like, not only for us, but for the viewers. We would go to trade shows, we'd go to ATA, and that's the hunt that people would talk about. So I don't know. It's fun. You get in the stand with one another. You create the mojo. Dean and I have done this plenty of times. Jack Daniels, a hunt that was probably our most recent successful hunt in North Dakota. We were together on a couple different hunts where we passed really nice deer on opening day of the season. And on the last day of the season, we've been together. When I shot my first velvet buck on opening day, Dean was filming the hunt that we called 21 days in North Dakota. On the last day of that hunt, which we extended one more day of the hunt because of a cold front, we were hunting together and we shot a mystery buck literally at the base of the tree. That was epic and that was amazing. And this is all I'm just kind of spitballing right now, but I don't know. We've kind of talked amongst ourselves, and it's like, as cool as the self-film hunts are, and there's, we're definitely going to be self-filming this year, plenty. We're certainly not putting that to rest. But when you go together, you allow the hunter to just be a hunter, and you allow the cameraman to actually capture the moment in its fullest and in its entirety. And then if the hunt goes well, you get that celebration together, which is unmatched. It's what am I trying to say? It's unreplicable. You can't replicate that moment together. And that's what we want. We want to try and bring that back. We want to try and just create some mojo and enjoy the time together. We got this movement going, make hunt camps great again. That's kind of all part of it. And for us, it's not just like cameraman and hunter. Like, we're brothers, we're uncles, we're nephews, we're fathers, we're sons, like, we're cousins. Like, that's kind of our crew. So there is, and there has to be, some serious charisma and togetherness in that. So self-filming's a little bit different. It's a whole different beast. You've got to be a hunter and a cameraman at the same time in order to really capture that moment, in order to really capture the energy, and just kind of all the craziness that has to go on in order for you to get a shot opportunity on film. But when you put cameraman and hunter together as two different people, like, there's got to be teamwork there. There's got to be togetherness. And for Dean and I specifically, like, it's like putting a pair of gloves on that just fits just right. And when I'm filming Dean, I can predict and understand and know his movements and what he's going to do prior to him even doing it, and without us having to communicate, and vice versa. And honestly, it's a lot with my dad and Uncle Jay as well. If I'm behind the camera, like, I'm kind of predicting the weather, predicting the movements, and feeling good about what is about to happen. So it's exciting. And, the older that we get, and especially the older that I get, like, I'm realizing more and more the moments that are shared in the woods with, it doesn't necessarily have to be your dad or your grandpa, your uncle, brother, but the people that are there with you, and being able to share those moments, especially the moments of success, it's invaluable. Once again, it's not replicable. And those moments are moments that you'll never forget. Good, bad, or indifferent result of the hunt, but especially the hunts that are successful, to be able to kind of take in that moment together, and know that, it took teamwork to not only put a good shot on the deer, but also get a great like get great footage and great content on film, that is all part of it too. And so we're trying to step our game up a little bit that way. We want to enjoy more hunts together. We've all killed really nice deer, and especially over the last couple years. I know last year was a little bit of a down year for us, but over the past 4 to 5 years, like we've all killed our fair share of good bucks. Uncle Jay a couple years ago shot 3 different bucks. I mean, that was unheard of when we were growing up. So the fact that we've kind of got some notches on the belt, hey, let's go see if we can just create some really, really cool content together and enjoy some great hunts together. Make hunt camps great again. What do you say? So nonetheless, we are going to begin that in Tennessee this weekend. And Uncle Jay and I have got 2 XOP setups ready to roll. We've got just about every different wind covered between those 2 setups. And the piece of property that we have permission to hunt down here has more bucks on it, I think, than I've ever seen on one specific property in the summertime. It's almost overwhelming, the amount of bucks on there. And the cool part is they're mostly in daylight. Honestly, very few night pictures of them. So, and also a lot of the photos in daylight are like 7:30, 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. So kind of like the later part of the morning. We are tucked in very close to their bedding area. It may allow for a morning hunt or 2 this weekend where we can slip in, get in there early enough, beat them essentially to the bed, and just wait them out until they come through there. We're hunting the side of this hill, and there's a bench that kind of runs right down, like midway down the hill. The hill's got a pretty steep grade on it, especially as you get closer and closer towards the bottom. So the way that we have the Moultrie Mobile set up, we've got one set up where they kind of cross the fence out of the green field, edge of the cornfield, into the hardwoods, and they typically hit that. We see them in front of that camera first. 15, 20 minutes later, and a couple 100 yards down the ridge and down the bench, we've got another camera set up, and then they hit that one before they kind of banana curl up the hill. They're either bedding on the side of this hill where it gets thick up towards the top, or right over the hill and kind of on top of it is a massive standing cornfield right now. So thinking with the heat and stuff like that, if they can get in that corn and get, belly to soil contact to stay cool, that's probably a good hypothesis or guess about what they're doing too. But nonetheless, they're very consistent, and we're certainly not trying to write the story just yet, but feel pretty good about, the couple days that we have this weekend and being able to get in front of at least one of these deer, which would be awesome. It'd be awesome to start the season and go to North Dakota with a buck under the belt for the team, and then, be able to go into that hunt kind of with already having some pressure off, essentially. But either way, I'm just excited to get in a tree. I'm very grateful to be in this position. We've got two XOP setups, as I already said, ready to roll. The Moultrie Mobiles are doing their thing and kind of giving us the most recent information. I'm going to shoot my bow later tonight, and I feel very good and very tuned and dialed with it. And so I'm excited. I'm grateful. We've been saying that this year is the We Will Not Be Denied Tour 2024. Based on last year, that was kind of a kick in the nuts, to be honest with you. And just feeling kind of down and out on ourselves a little bit, on the season, on the results, not really on the effort, but just, I don't know, not being content with what we came out of the season with last year. It feels good turning the page into this season. The energy's high. We've got some new great partners on board, and I'm excited. I'm grateful to be a hunter. I'm grateful to live this lifestyle. I'm grateful for the courage, that I've given myself to just go chase a dream and Dean, my dad, Uncle Jay, all as well, Cuzzy, and the whole gang that rolls with us. And I'm excited. I'm excited for this year. We've got a lot of cool stuff planned. We've got a lot of hunts planned, and I really, I have high hopes and high energy for this year. We're basically starting the season on Friday, and the season will be kicked off. We go Friday, Saturday, Sunday of hunting. Gonna take a day off to spend with the significant other on Monday, and then packing the truck and getting in the truck to make the 18-hour drive north on Tuesday and fire up the North Dakota season a week from Friday as well. I mean, 25-year-old me is pinching himself right now at the opportunities that we have and what we get to do, and starting our season at the end of August now, where the season typically started October 1st in New York, or the last week of September in Ohio. Now it's like we've extended our season a month. We're getting all these cool opportunities and getting to be able to see different places, experience hunting in different places, and I'm just so grateful for it. Living the lifestyle, We've got a short time here on this earth, and the older I get, the more that I realize to be grateful for what we have right now. We still feel like we're just starting this journey, and we have so much more to give, which is an awesome feeling as well, because it feels like you're at the beginning of the road. But also, we've come a long, long way, and that's not like tooting our own horn. That's just the nature of the beast. That's just the reality of the situation. We've paved the way for ourselves in this hunting industry. We've built a ton of content, and we've created an awesome following, and we so much appreciate everybody who watches, listens, and tunes into our stuff on a week-to-week basis. You are the reason that we're living a dream come true. So it's kind of crazy. It's already here again. This is going to be year 12 up in North Dakota. The last couple years out there were kind of slower in a sense. We didn't get anything last year, came close a few times. It was a different year because, Dean got married, went on a little honeymoon. Uncle Jay and Kelly came out with me for opening day last year, and then Dean and his wife Elena came midway through the trip. So it was just a different year last year. We went back out in October, came close again, had some good encounters. Dean saw a couple really nice deer for 3 days in a row, just couldn't seal the deal. But even the year before that, Dean got Jack Daniels. I think it was like the second or third day of the season. But outside of that, it was kind of slow. The year before that was I killed a 9-point on the last day of the hunt, kind of a mystery buck that showed up. Not a giant deer by any means, but he was a solid buck nonetheless. But we killed him on the last day of the hunt. Outside of that, it was kind of slow. And the year before that, it was super slow. So for the past 3 years or so, it's just kind of been so hunting. It's been more about the experience than anything. And I don't know, for whatever reason this year, I feel a good hunt coming on. I feel good about where we're at. We left a camera out there all year with a solar panel, and we've already got a couple good bucks that have been showing up. Dean's out there right now as we speak, setting trail cameras and just kind of setting the stage in our normal spots for us so that we're ready to roll in 10 days when the season starts. And just going to be me and Dean out there this year. So kind of getting back to the roots, but we've been going out there. This is going to be year 12 that we're going out to North Dakota. And man, I look back and just kind of reflect on that too. And it's like the first 2 years we were out there, we had no idea what we were doing. We had no clue if we should be up, down, left, right, in a tree, out of a tree, in the beans, corn. We didn't know where to find the deer. It was such a learning experience for us. And honestly, North Dakota was the first real, out-of-state hunting that Dean and I did together. We had hunted Ohio. We had hunted New York. We had actually hunted Illinois to some degree, but that was with Campbell, Illinois whitetails, so kind of more of like an outfitted hunt at that point. This was like the first adventure that Dean and I went on together as the hunters that like my dad and Uncle Jay brought us up as. And so it was humbling, you know, when we started out there, because it wasn't as easy as just going up to Camp Cutlet, going to our normal spots and, you know, kind of knowing and being able to predict the movements a little bit. This was a clean slate. It was open, vast country, not a lot of trees, completely different element that we were used to. And it was humbling, but it's made us better hunters ever since we started there. And every year out there has been different, you know, some more successful than others, but in the grand scheme of things, we've been pretty successful out there. I think we've gotten 12 bucks out there in the 12 years we've been going out there. A couple years we didn't kill, a couple years we killed 2. So we're hoping for a good year this year. It's just a cool hunt. You know, this is year 12, as I've said. We've built a whole nother family out in North Dakota. If you've been following along with that trip, you know Kane, the landowner's son, he bow hunts with us now. He's he's going to be a sophomore in college this year in Bismarck. Joe's youngest son is going to be starting to shoot a bow this year. All of his kids are into hunting in the outdoors, and they're just so helpful for us and so welcoming for us. And his wife, Sherry, is like our North Dakota mom. I mean, you want to talk about welcoming people and just people that make you feel good, and the generosity is out of this world. We are so lucky and grateful to have met them, and to think, like I'm living in Nashville right now. I'm shooting this episode from the comfort of my living room as we speak, and to think that literally 12 years ago, I met Joe at a bar called Losers in Midtown in Nashville. It was about as packed of a place as you could ever imagine at that time, that night. And I remember I was trying to get to the bar to get a drink, was there with some friends. Joe was there with his wife, Sherry, and some of their friends. He was actually recording a Christmas album at the time, I believe, for his family. And I'm like pushing through trying to get to the bar. Joe and his whole crew were already at the bar, and I get up to the bar. He's like, you know, he kind of moved some people aside so that he could tell I was trying to get up to the bar to get a drink. So I get up there with him, order my drink, whatever. I see that he's got a camo phone case. So we started talking about hunting. At this point, this is 12 years ago. TAGNBRAG is just beginning. Like, we don't have this logo. We don't have no sponsors. We don't have any partners, any of that. We're just trying to get into the game at that point. But he had his camo phone case. We started talking hunting. I naturally just started telling him what we were doing with TAGNBRAG and love bow hunting and this and that. And a couple drinks and a few hours, I think, later, he was like, you should come up and hunt my soybean farm up in North Dakota. Nobody's bow hunted it for over like 20 years, I think he said. And my eyes lit up. I'm like, first of all, North Dakota was never even thought about as being a state that we would hunt, as being a state that was on our radar. You know, we're thinking of Kansas, Iowa, Kentucky, Illinois, Missouri, you know, the Midwest. We're thinking of big bucks and stuff like that. But at that same time, Heartland Bowhunter had been going up to North Dakota, and I remember they were probably on season 4, 5, 6-ish at that point, and they were the group that Dean and I looked up to the most, especially with the quality of video content that they had was out of this world, and they kind of set the bar even higher, I think, at that point. So we had watched them a little bit up in North Dakota, and I was just like, yeah, I mean, if you're really serious about that, I will, we will consider coming up there. So, whatever. We had our night and we went our separate ways, exchanged numbers. And a couple weeks later, I called Joe and I'm like, is the invitation still open? He's like, absolutely. I started doing some research on North Dakota at the time. All the research that I was doing in the forums and stuff said that the population was low based on the last couple winters and it being pretty harsh on the deer population up there. So we didn't really even know what we were in for. But once we learned that the season started a month earlier than ours in Ohio, and we learned that we could literally add a month to our season, it was kind of a no-brainer at that point. It was like, well, what else would we? Why wouldn't we, go up there and try it at least in the middle part of, or the beginning of September? We're not going to give up any of our season. We're going to get a chance to hunt velvet bucks. What's not to love there? So we did it. And lo and behold, 12 years later, here we are. We've literally gone up there every year since. We've gotten Kane into bow hunting. We keep in touch with our family up there all throughout the year. Kane has now come to New York multiple times to hunt. He's shot a couple doe up there with us. We've had a couple great hunts with him up there as well. And it's just, it's like an extended version of family. So it's like, it's so hard. You don't come across opportunities like that often. And it's like, we know that sometimes you just got to say yes. Sometimes you just got to trust the process. You got to say yes. You got to go. You got to roll with it. You know that, maybe it's not going to be all that it's cracked up to be or whatever. But at the end of the day, if you say yes, you may open the doors for something else. You may open up other opportunities, whatever. But life is short, man. It's just like, go do it. Go do the thing. Go do the thing you've been talking about. For me, the next kind of thing for me is elk hunting. I bought an elk bugle the other day. Just got it in the mail literally yesterday. I got a diaphragm, and you guys know, if you've been following us long enough, I suck at calling turkeys with a diaphragm. But you know what? We're going to give this elk bugling a shot. I'm going to learn it, because if I don't learn it, then I ain't going to ever go do it. So, yeah, it just, I don't know. I'm excited for this season. You would think after 25 plus years of bow hunting myself, and I've been fortunate enough to shoot a lot of nice deer. You would think that like some of the excitement, some of the wear and tear, I guess, would kind of wear off on you, and it hasn't. In fact, I feel like every year it gets a little bit stronger and a little bit stronger. And this year, I'm so, so grateful to be at this point of the year, to be working with the people that we're working with. We've we've grown our business to the point that it is now. We've had a great year this year as far as new partnerships and new opportunities go, and we're so grateful for that. And I just feel the new energy on board. I'm excited to kind of exploit that and explore that throughout this year. And I'm just excited to get in the tree and chase something. The chase is what we all live for. That's what we all live for. The chase is, to me, it's a lot of what it's all about. The kill is awesome. That celebration is awesome, especially if you're in hunt camp, making hunt camps great again with your people. It's even awesomer. But the chase is what, I think Dean and I specifically have just dove head over heels for. I mean, you look at Dean and the amount of work that he's done up at camp, through Food Plot Chronicles, and the amount of research that he's done is insane. It really is. Like, the kid is truly a genius when it comes to growing crops, growing big deer, setting up and managing land to flourish as hunters. I mean, he really is. And so that whole process, and it's the chase that drives us year in and year out. And you kind of, you may have closed a couple chapters, or you may have closed a chapter the year before, but you left probably, for every chapter you closed, you probably left another 3 to 4 open on specific deer that you're chasing, or a state that you went to, or maybe it's elk or mule deer or bears or whatever the case is. But you left a little bit on the table that you're still wanting to go chase. And we're at the time period now where we actually get to go chase it. All the hard work that we've put in throughout the summertime, whether it's food plots, land preparation, cutting paths, hanging tree stands, putting blinds up, that's all coming to fruition. Checking trail cameras, placing trail cameras, whatever, shooting your bow, fine-tuning equipment, all of this we get to now put to the test. And there's something special about that. There's something special about the floodgates coming down and you getting to go do it for real. And we're here. We are here. We are 2 sleeps away at most, if you are listening to this once again, from being in a tree. And honestly, the best part, like, the chase is it. As I said, the chase is it. It's what drives us. It's what makes us lose sleep. It's what we work so hard for. But one of the things that I'm most proud of in all of it is that we've been able to, and we've been disciplined enough to document that whole process for years, for you all to follow along with us. And we've been able to enjoy so much of that hard work and so many hunts, good, bad, or indifferent, together. Like, that to me is my most proud part of creating Tag and Brag, my most proud part of being in this hunting industry in general. I've had the opportunity, and I have killed a lot of really nice deer, and I'm so grateful for that. There's nothing that I would take away from any of those deer, but the fact that it's all documented and you guys can, whether it's today, tomorrow, you already did, you can follow along with our journey. That's what means the most to me, because when we were young, when Dean and I were young, it was that journey, it was the chase that got us so hooked on what we are doing right now and what we love to do ultimately. Now that we can document that and bring you guys along with us, it's like, that's the icing on the cake. Because the values that hunting's brought us, the fun, the hard times, the highs, the lows, they now can all be experienced together. And that magnifies everything. It really does. It magnifies the experience. It magnifies the energy. It magnifies the celebration. At the end of the day, we just want to breed a couple more hunters into this world. We want people to know and understand and see the value that hunting, and specifically bow hunting, and now managing land and working hard for that land has done for us, and what it is, and the values that it's brought us in our life. And the fact that we have been able to document that for now years, you can literally go to our YouTube channel and go through years and years of content. And there's no, I mean, I guess there's a starting point, but there's really no end. It's just, this is where we're at in the season, or this is where we're at in the off season, and the content just keeps flowing. It's a never-ending story, And yeah, I mean, that's honestly what I'm the most proud of, is just having the courage to document it all. Dean and I, we all went through some very, very hard times and hard years when we were getting into filming, because the camera saved a lot of deer. The camera created a lot of hardships. But you know what? When it got hard, and I say this confidently, and I say this often, but when it got hard and when it gets hard, typically we get better. And I'm proud of that as well, but it's because of all the battle scars that we have from the early days. It's because of all the situations that we put ourselves in where we should have killed a deer. We should have killed a nice buck. We should have another 1, 2, 4, 6 bucks on our wall and in our trophy room, or whatever you want to call it. But we don't, because of documenting this and because of trying to fine-tune our skill sets in order to document this so that we could bring more people along with us. Because if you can't sit in the tree right behind me, or if you can't sit on a stand right next to me, well, then we're going to document it so that you can enjoy that moment with us, or that hunt, or that hardworking day, or whatever it is that goes along with our outdoor and our hunting lifestyle. You can enjoy that right along with us. It's my most proud moment by far. It's what keeps me going for and wanting to create more and wanting to build more for TAGNBRAG and for TAGNBRAG Nation, for you guys, for our community that we've built. It's it for me. And I'm very much looking forward to continuing that this year. I'm very much looking forward to bringing you guys along with us this year, because I just feel good. I feel new energy. I feel strong energy. I feel positive energy. I feel a lot of gratitude towards the hunt, towards the animals, towards the hard work that we've put in. And I feel a lot of gratitude towards the opportunities that we have coming this year and hopefully in years to come. So that's kind of all I got for you. Kind of long-winded, and I don't know. But once again, I feel good. And I'm excited for Friday. And for all of you guys out there, if you're listening to this right now prior to Friday, don't forget, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we're going to have daily vlogs coming out starting probably Sunday or Monday. And may God let your arrow fly true this year. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. So grateful for all of our amazing partners that make this possible and help us continue to grow TAGNBRAG and continue to grow the TAGNBRAG Nation in our community. And so I'm grateful for you all as well. That's a wrap on this Wednesday. Don't forget to follow along with us. The season is started. The next episode, the season will be in full swing. So the season has started. Thank y'all. I love y'all, and we will see y'all right back here next Wednesday on Goose Chasing. Peace.